Welcome back, ghouls and goblins. I hope you're having an absolute magical day. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to support the channel. This is the second last segment of our preparation for Dominaria United. We are taking a look at the top mythics within the set, starting out today with the standard slash constructed goodies in no particular order. One of my favorite cards, Soul of Windgrace, for 4 mana in Jund colors as a legendary creature cat avatar, right? It's easy enough to figure out why it's my favorite. And whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may put a land card from your graveyard into the battlefield tapped under your control. There's no way that's not good. And mid-game to late game, what's more annoying than drawing land cards that you can't utilize in any way? Well, not much, really. Flooding sucks. So this can help mitigate that. We can pay 1 green, discard a land, gain 3 life. Pay 2, discard a land, draw a card. Oof. Pay 3, discard a land, give the Windgrace indestructible until the end of turn while tapping it. So, a lot of utility within the Windgrace, making use of potentially some dead draws to gain additional value. I like it. It's 4 mana. It's a 5/4. You can maybe even ramp into it. And let's remember that it helps us ramp, right? We can put lands from the graveyard into the battlefield, channel lands, sacrifice lands. There are a lot of ways to make the most out of these abilities. Moving on. Joda the Unifier, 5 mana, Warburg, Rainbow, Dominion colors. Legendary creature, human wizard. Legendary creatures you control get +X, where X is the number of legendary creatures that you control. So first off, that is ridiculous. You're going to stack legendary creatures. They're all going to, that's crazy. We just need to provide them with trample and haste and you win. Congratulations. Whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost, put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. Again, we're looking for things maybe like Kodama, something that provides trample, Goro, something that provides haste. So we're getting these legendaries in play right away. They all buff each other up. There's haste, there's trample. Go get them, boys. Basically having a Cabaret Revels attached to it with, a legendary requirement. Also, it's fine. It's playable. We have a ton of legendaries. It's going to get the job done. Rith, Liberated Primeval, 5 mana, Naya colors, red, green, and white. It's a 5/5 legendary dragon flying with Ward 2. Other dragons you control will also have Ward 2, and at the beginning of your end step, if a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls was dealt excess damage to this turn, create a 4/4 dragon creature token. This is really nice, right? So it's a decent body, 5/5, flying. The ward is fantastic. Giving our other dragons ward is really, really nice also. And then, kind of incentivizing us to be removing our opponent's creatures. If they're blocking, that's going to be something there as well, not just our lightning strikes, but there's a lot of potential mana here. Not mana value, sorry, within the card. I like it. Personally, I plan on free casting it with the Kami Egg. The Shivian Devastator, another dragon, flying haste, 1 red +X to cast, and it will enter the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. This is nice because late game, you can just put all your mana into it, right? Here's a big old 50 cal bullet basically coming at you. Very good. The haste is fantastic. It is maybe a little bit less value than you typically would get early game because that 1 mana +X, if you're paying 2, it's a 1/1 with flying and haste, and that's not good, right? We see the Phoenix chick that is already that for 1 mana, plus it's got the replay ability from the grave, right? So early game is actually not that good, but it is still a card that's playable, right? We can make use of it in other ways. Plus, mid game, late game, it does become very, very valuable. The Sierra Paragon, 4 mana, angel with flying, 3/4. Once during each of your turns, you may play a land from the grave or cast a permanent spell with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. If you do, it gains when this permanent is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, exile it, and gain 2 life. All right. Smells like Luris. It's a little bit more expensive. It's stronger. It has flying. only during your turn, not once each turn. It pulls lands. Lotus does not pull lands. You gain life. Lotus has no life gain for you. Well, not in that function. It kind of does. It itself has life gain, but I think this is a good card, right? We're going to be seeing a lot of this in multiple decks. Uh-oh. Sheoldred, the Apocalypse for 4 mana, a 4/5 legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor. With Death Touch, whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. This is a problem. This is so bad. Don't play this card. It's a bad. Just please don't play this card, at least against me. You know, the meat hook is still here. What an oppressive build mono black will be. And I'm sure it can splash other colors as well. But one thing I know for certain is that it will run 4 copies of this without a doubt, dude. Liliana of the Veil, 3 mana, you know, another broken black card within the set. Seems to be a common thing here for us. 3 loyalty, +1, each player discards a card, yourself included. -2, target player sacrifices a creature. Very nice removal. You know, it's a 3 mana immediate removal. Cool. -6, separate all permanent target player control into 2 piles, and then they sacrifice one of those piles. So, you know, this can get planeswalkers, this can get enchantments, artifacts, right? Really, the creatures, lands, right? It's not a non-land thing. This gets the lands, dude. So it's pretty cool, I guess. Pretty cool. Gonna be played. Just don't play it against me. The Vesuvian plumasi. Oh my lord. For 4 mana, an enchantment, and whenever you cast a spell that targets only a single artifact or creature you control, create a token that's a copy of that target artifact or creature, except it's not a legendary. You know, this screams Ivy. You know, now you're getting multiple copies, and then that ability is triggering off multiple times. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? So, with that, super busted. In itself, you know, just a really nice copy engine. 4 mana enchantment. Nothing that we haven't seen before, but the legendary clause here that's pretty cool, right? So looking forward to using that, and you know, just making a bunch of legendaries. Karn's Silex, 3 mana, legendary artifact, enters the battlefield tapped. Players cannot pay life to cast spells or activate abilities that are not mana abilities, right? So really shutting down any planeswalkers. This is fantastic. And then we can also pay X, tap it to exile it, destroying each non-land permanent with mana value X or less at sorcery speed. So, you know, this really just does a lot. It's going to stop, you know, a lot of their value generation. Plus, now you can clean the field. You know, it's not always that planeswalker decks have a lot of creatures. But at the end of the day, many mid-range decks may, right? Not so much the control decks, but just helping us against the mid-range decks. And, you know, at that same point, this could be played in a control deck as long as, you know, you're making sure not to kind of shoot yourself in the foot, right? The World Spell for 7 mana, read ahead. You can skip to any chapter of the saga. Look at the top 7 cards of your library, reveal a non-saga permanent from among them, put it into your hand. The rest go into the bottom of the library in random order for the first 2 triggers. And then finally put up to 2 non-saga permanent cards from your hand into the battlefield. That's kind of crazy. They do have to be permanents, which is a bummer. But at the end of the day, you know, just allowing you to place 2 of your best things into play, that's absolutely incredible. You know, putting a couple planeswalkers in, you know, Titan of Industry, right? There's so many ways to utilize this and generate a good amount of value. And then we're into the Soul of the Windrace again. So, you know, that's kind of what we have for our standard cards. Moving into the historic cards here. Timeless Lotus for 5. Enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add 1 plains. Well, white source, blue source, black source, red source, and green source. Plains, island, swamp, mountain, forest. This is fantastic. You know, untapping an artifact, retapping it. You know, potentially there's going to be an infinite combo here. There are far better ways to cast this, get it into play without having to pay 5 mana in Historic, in Explorer. You know, Affinity for artifacts is going to be a thing. The Forsaken Monument, which is rotating, reducing the cost of your artifacts is always a great way. And doubling the mana that those artifacts would make as well, which is really cool. So, you know, Teferi untapping this potentially within standard, but going far beyond that within Explorer and Historic. Zur Eternal Schemer for 3 mana, a 1/4 legendary creature, human wizard with flying. Enchantment creatures you control have Death Touch, Lifelink, and Hexproof. Wow, that's really good. We can also pay 2. Target non-aura enchantment you control becomes a creature in addition to its other types. Its base power and toughness are each equal to its mana value. You know, this is like a pretty good tempo build. Like, oh man, Lord. This is very good. I think that in Explorer, in Historic, there are already existing very nice enchantment builds. All that glitters. Now we have Machiko in Standard, right? There's going to be good ways to keep some enchantment creatures from being interacted with, and then just like kind of trawning them up, if you will, into these big baddies that just smash in for more than is manageable, right? So the fact that, you know, the Death Touch and Lifelink, that's neat, but it's that hexproof on all of our enchantment creatures. That's just, in my opinion, ridiculous, right? So protecting the schemer protects everything else, you know, countering non-targeted removal, and you're good to go. Karn Living Legacy, 4 mana, 4 loyalty, +1, creating a tapped Power Stone token. You can tap it to add mana to spend on can't be spent on non-artifacts. So just spending it on artifact spells, which is fine, right? So it's not using the generic mana unless it's an artifact. -1, pay any amount of mana. Look at that many cards from the top of your library. Put one of them into your hand, the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. Just kind of finding what you want. Pretty cool for a combo deck, LOL. -7, you get an emblem with tap and untapped artifact you control. This emblem deals 1 damage to any target. So I like this quite a bit. More so in, again, Explorer and Historic, as it is far more supported than in Standard. However, we're making these +1 Power Stones. You know, we're going to have 3 of them by the time we get to 7. That gives us the emblem if we kill ourselves immediately. If not, we get another Power Stone to 4. And then we're just tapping these to deal 3 to 4 damage every turn to our opponent. That's like, you know, that's going to be a problem for any opponent, right? That's like, you know, they're killing your creatures, they're killing your planeswalkers, they're, you know, hitting your health points and stuff, right? So I do think that a Karn burn is maybe playable, in all honesty. Moving on, that will be the Timeless Lotus again. So we'll have to jump in now to our honorable mentions. The Silverback Elder, 5 mana, 5/7. Whenever you cast a creature spell, choose 1. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land from among them into the battlefield tapped and the rest in the bottom in random order, or gain 4 life. So I love it. The only reason, you know, I don't love it more is the fact that it doesn't trigger on itself when it enters, because you'll have to cast this and then another creature after, right? To get those triggers going. However, you know, maybe you can free cast it, right? There's plenty of ways to do that. And, you know, it is good reoccurring value. A 5/7 is really good stats. And, you know, the fact that you can just put some lands into play is definitely not bad at all. I like it. You know, time will tell, though. Shayna, Purifying Blade for 3 within Bant colors, green, white, and blue. It's a 3/3 legendary creature, human warrior with lifelink. And at the beginning of your end step, you may pay X. If you do draw X cards, X cannot be greater than the amount of life you've gained this turn. I do not mind this. You know, it's good, right? It's life gain. Maybe in a Coco deck, right? That's very good. They're using life gain. It also now presents draw, where you can just be drawing a whole bunch because you're gaining so much life, even without the combat. So, you know, I definitely think that this exists for a reason, and it's going to be not good. The Coco life gain deck is probably going to eat this up. And then we're into a Johnny Sleeper Agent for 3 mana if you pay 2 life and have it enter with 2 fewer loyalty, or 4 mana just to base stat it. With the 4 loyalty, +1, revealing the top card of your library. If it's a creature or planeswalker card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, put it into the bottom of your library. If you want, you may. -3, distribute 3 +1/+1 counters on up to 3 target creatures. They will gain vigilance, being able to attack and now in turn defend a Johnny. And -6, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a creature or planeswalker spell, target opponent gets 2 poison counters, which again, 5 creatures, you win at that point. So very cool. You only need to +1 twice, and -6, and just play some creatures. You should win. You know, the -3 to defend it, that's nice as well, allowing you to attack with creatures if you just want to go aggro. And then just, you know, the general value of grabbing stuff into your hand is definitely not bad either. So I actually like a Johnny, I feel, a lot more than other people. It's just going to need the right blend of cards. And potentially maybe this goes really well with the Defiler of Vigor. And we talked about just like flooding the field with these cheap creatures. Those cheap creatures target the poison counters. Let's go. And we are back to the Silverback Ape. Holy Toledo's, chat. That was a journey. We went through first the commons, then the uncommons, then the rares, now finally the mythics of our top 10 cards. But wait, there's more. If you buckle up to your booties and stay tuned to the next video, I will reveal my 30 standard decks for Dominaria United. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you're having an absolute magical day. Can't wait to see you soon in the next. Take care.